Hello, I'm Bard, and I will be your host today for our Alteryx user group. I would like to take a second to introduce myself and as well to introduce the concept of the meetings that we have, the Alteryx user groups. I'm an Alteryx user for several years right now, and I'm proud to be recognized as an Alteryx ace. I get to know Alteryx when I was working at UBS, Swiss Bank UBS, several years ago. And since this time, I decided to build a career around Alteryx. Currently, I'm working at DataPal, a company that I co-founded together with Emil. We are official Alteryx partners, and we specialize in Alteryx training and consulting around Alteryx. When it comes to this meeting that we have today, the user group, we set up this group more than 4 years ago. And the purpose of that group was to share a knowledge together from different people from different sectors, learning from each other and inspiring how to achieve more with Alteryx in the end. We had several meetings like that, like today. Most of those are recorded and as I mentioned, are available. You can scan the QR code and you can watch some of those on our YouTube channel. When it comes to today, I have some great speakers here with me. So we have a lot of people asking me about Alteryx One, and that's why I invited Christian and Jennifer. We'll talk more about Alteryx One and new cloud possibilities within Alteryx. Jennifer is a senior training specialist at Alteryx, and I truly believe that she's the best person to conduct you a short training and overview how Alteryx Designer Cloud works and how it basically can be translated from Excel to the cloud, how to do that faster and smarter. Then we have Christian, and Christian will also tell you more about the concept, wider concept of Alteryx One, including auto insights, missions, and magic documents or playbooks, for example. Um, Christian is also representing Alteryx as a sales engineer over here. In the end of that meeting, we'll also introduce a new element of that. It will be AI Corner. It will be 5 minutes short summary about integrating AI and Alteryx. We'll explain you how Alteryx and large language models on very high level could be integrated and how you can get more using AI in the Alteryx itself. So that will be all as an introduction. I would like to right now pass my voice to Jennifer, and she will definitely present you a really nice story around Alteryx Cloud and Excel. Jennifer, stage is yours.
All right. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Let me share my screen. Oop. It's making me do as a. There we go. Sorry about that, everybody. All right. I'm honored to be here. My name's Jennifer Fugita. I have been working with data my entire career, and I have been a member of many user groups, so I'm excited to be presenting at yours. Thank you for inviting me, Bart and Emil. I hope to give everyone a lot of insights and value in the next 25 minutes. And so today, for my part, the key word here is possibilities, right? We will just be scratching the surface of all that Designer Cloud has to offer, but I want your takeaway to be that you can see all of the advantages it offers to doing certain things versus doing everything in Excel, right? So I'm going to talk about that a little bit. Many of you here today, of course, you're comfortable working in Excel, right? And you haven't, maybe if you haven't unlocked the potential of cloud, you might be thinking, well, why would I do that? And Excel, while it is, right, it's a great application. We all know, I hope, right? It's not a database, right? So if you have, we want to replace some of your tedious data refreshes and your manipulations. We want something visual and auditable processes, right, that save you time and effort, who hasn't had the errors and issues caused by copying and pasting data. You know, you do it all the time, it's no big deal, but every once in a while you don't do it right. How about losing all that time trying to bring back data that you previously deleted? You brought in 80 fields and you thought you needed, you know, only 60 of them to find out later, oh my goodness, I got rid of 5 fields I needed. Undo, 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 Control Z, oh my goodness. How about working with larger data sets or data that's in multiple locations, right? Trying to figure out what somebody did in an Excel workbook. It may not be transparent, it may not be repeatable, it may not be even decipherable, or you can't recreate it, right? I know sometimes it's like forensic accounting. You get a huge workbook pointing to many others, and someone's like, where did they get this number right here? And it's like, I I don't know. I cannot tell, right? So we don't want that. So also, I know from a lot of my data, my entire career, I spend a lot of tedious time in spreadsheets. Don't discount that time. Your time is valuable, you're valuable, so let's free some of that up. So again, we're not saying stop using Excel, we're just saying let's take advantage of all that Designer Cloud has to offer. I'm going to show on the next slide a couple, oops, went a little too quickly, job aids that will be made available to you afterwards if you're interested. And these are just tasks that you, a task right here. First one's a perfect example. Update data types, rename columns, remove columns, change column order. How do I do this in Excel? Yeah, well, I do it, but it can be a little tedious and manual, and I might have to do it over and over and over. I have one tool to do it in Cloud Select. It's brilliant. I will be showing that off shortly. It just makes it a lot easier, and I only do it once, right? How about formulas? I'm going to be writing my formulas here. And in Excel, I'm going to drag it to carry the formula more cells. And then sometimes I have to do absolute. And because, right, Excel's not, I mean, it's just almost like a big scrapbook, right? I can do anything I want, anywhere I want. So that can be a little problematic. When I bring my data into cloud, it's going to parse the data into tables. And so when I do formulas, things can be much smoother. Again, I'm not going to touch every one of these things because I will be spending more time in cloud, but I have a second page of this. And again, more tasks, how I do them in Excel, how can I do them in cloud? So you can start to see, again, hopefully, possibilities, right? I can use these tools in a workflow. I can use them once, and also everybody can see what I did and how I got from A to Z. So again, some familiar parse data. I can use the convert text to columns wizard in Excel. I have a text to columns tool in Designer Cloud. VLOOKUPs, wow, we love them mostly, usually, until we don't, right? Sometimes they drive us crazy. They have certain limitations. We have a couple tools that can handle those quite easily, quite well. And again, visually, drag and drop. It's nice. It's very handy. Pivoting data. Sometimes I want to pivot it, you know, it might be vertical and I want to go horizontal. It's horizontal. I want to go, you know, it's tall, and I want to go wide, things like that. So again, I have tools for this. Crosstab, transpose. Got that summarize tool. That's the magic one. The icon is very similar in every product, right? I can do a lot of powerful things with that. So enough about me talking. Let me actually, I won't be hopping back and forth from Excel to Cloud. I really want to maximize the time in Designer Cloud. So I'm going to swap over to Cloud now. All right. So now I'm here at Alteryx 1, right? We have welcome. And I have a workflow. It is already going, it's already built out, but I'm going to be showing you what the data look like coming in. And then I'm going to show you how we are going to transform it. So I could click on the library here. There's all kinds of things going on here with the portal, but in the end, interest of time, right? I could go to the library and pull up this workflow. I already have it open, so I'm going to hop in here. Right. So this workflow is actually, I kind of think of it as my start slow to go fast, right? I am not showing you, you know, like the highest levels of complexity, but I am going to show you some really messy data. And I have data from other sources, and I'm going to show you how quickly and easily I can convert it. And I want you, as you're going, if you're a person who really loves detail, and I am one of those, and you're really going to be like, I want to know every detail about every tool, right? I'm going to have you pull back a little. There's lots of resources. And again, in the interest of time, I'm just going to be showing you kind of the highlights, right? So here's our scenario. We have this customer transaction analysis, right? I have a workflow. It has transaction data and customer data. I just want to answer these questions. If somebody asked you about this, even though you hadn't seen the data, you'd be like, "It sounds not so bad. How many transactions has each customer made? Total spend for each customer, average processing time, right?" Managers could already be thinking of what you'd be doing in Excel. Like, okay, that doesn't sound too badly, too rough, right? So then I get a look at the data, and because I might make the mistake that we sometimes do with our colleagues, we're like, oh yeah, that won't take me any time at all before we look at the data. Yeah, don't want to do that. Anyways, as I stretch it out down here and I look down below, I'm like, oh yeah, that's not great. I hate when data does this and looks like this. This is, not great. Something I can do in here, and I want you to see cloud almost as four parts, the interface. All right. I've got tools over here. I have a canvas here where I'm going to be building the pipeline basically that is taking and transforming the data. I'm interacting with the tools over here on the right. And then down below, this is my interactive results grid, kind of call it the IRG for short. So those are the parts. So again, if when you're new to this, you might be like, that's a lot going on. That might help a little here. Anyway, so I see this data. I can expand this window down below and see the data a little more easily. Like, oh boy, yeah, I'm not happy. I know what I might do in Excel, but I'm going to show you how easy it is to transform this. Also, I have something on my grid here called profiling. So I can look at the data really quickly. I can see also really quickly, like, oh boy, I have a count of 2 on a lot of these top ones. I have duplicates in here. So I already know very quickly with this profile tool. It's like, okay, yep, got some duplicates. That's the first order of business. I have 105,000 rows coming in. Okay. I have a unique tool. Fantastic. And it is going to deduplicate for me. Something I really love about this tool is I have 2 anchors, right? I have a U for unique and a D for duplicate. Why do I love that? Well, I don't want to deduplicate my data and it just tosses out the duplicates and I don't know what they were and I can't vet them, I can't see them. So now I can see, okay, great. I can see the duplicates here. Excellent, 2046. I don't want those. I'm going to use the data off of this unique anchor. Again, if I was building this out, I would be being able to pull these tools from over here on the left, right? And you can see there's little flyouts that let me know what are these tools. And if there's any I'm interested in, like, oh, what's a multi-column formula? I can click on an example and it's going to open up a workflow with that tool with sample data, right? So I have lots of help, oh, wow. Hopefully that's not going to cause me an issue. Well, anyway, so sorry. It's so funny that it's not letting me pick that. Okay. Wow. Not sure why we're doing this. Anyways, usually you will go quite quickly to this. There we go. Sorry about that. A little bit of technical. You have to always have that. I will say when I'm a trainer, phew, got that out of the way. All right. So anyways, you can open up a workflow on any tool that has some sample data and shows you how to use it. So again, lots and lots of resources. Get back over here. All right, so we've deduplicated. Now I'm going to do a text to columns. That would make sense. I'd want to parse the data, right? Very, very straightforward tools. Again, I would have dragged this on the canvas, and then this is how I interact with it. What am I splitting? What's my delimiter? Oh, I can see there's other delimiters that I can use. Fantastic. How many columns? What's my column name? And on and on. So again, why is this so advantageous? Well, I can see the data, how it went in to the tool right here. It was that mess that I wasn't very happy with. And I can see the data on the other side. If anybody was looking at this workflow, or if even it's your future self, because you've been asked to look at this again, you can very quickly see what's happening every step of the way. Pretty fantastic, right? All right, so I have columns called column 1, column 2, column 3. That's not fantastic. I could change them down here. Lots of things I can do in the grid again. In the interest of time, I will not show every single thing, but I can do all kinds of work right down there. And as soon as I manipulate anything along these, it will put the tool configured up on the canvas for me. Again, very, very simple, keeps it nice and straight. So I have this select tool, and I can expand this. And in this case, just did some renames. Let's make column 1 a transaction ID. Column 2 is headers, isn't it? Column 3 is values. Yeah, look at that. It's still not great. I can't do my analysis yet, but it's fine. I have something called a crosstab tool. It's going to take data that is going very vertically like this or very tall, right? And I'm going to send it across. So I come into my crosstab tool, again, drag and drop. I just let it know. I'd like to create a column from the one I called headers very conveniently. I want to populate it with the values, and I'd like to group on transaction. Okay. Boy, that was not a lot of tools to already get to my data to looking like this, which is going to be far more able to be analyzed, right? And here's the magic too. I can use this again. I don't have to do it over and over. I know for me, sometimes I'd really get into doing a whole bunch of things in Excel and doing all my analysis, and it was great. And then I got new data and I'm like, I don't remember all the steps I did. So then I might make some little cheat sheets. Like I got to remember I do all these things because I do a lot every day. So I can't remember everything I do to every spreadsheet. No, this workflow sitting here, it's golden, it's great. I do it once and I don't have to be worried about that. Now, what were some of my other questions? I know it was asking about an average processing time. I know my order date and ship date. They're not in my Alteryx date format. Who dates, right? Any data professional. It's like they can just make us crazy, right? So no worries here. I have a date time tool. Now you might be somebody who's like, hey, I am a formula wizard. I'm amazing. You can do that in here. If you want to take a data part and put it back in a different format, you can do it with the formula tool, no problem. I love the date time tool. I just tell it the field I want to convert. I let it know what format is it in, and I can pick a custom one because every time you make the mistake thinking I've seen every date that could possibly ever be out there, you get surprised, right? And then I just give it a new column name. Fantastic. All right, so I've converted my date fields from strings into the proper date time format so that I can use them in a formula to calculate that processing time. I'm moving along pretty quickly. I mean, I'm going to just minimize this a little, go back. Wow, that was not a lot of steps to already feel like I'm getting close to answering some of my questions. All right, make this a little bigger again. There we go. So I brought a select tool on the canvas again. I told you it was a brilliant tool earlier. It's like, why? What am I doing now? Well, again, I might have fields I don't need. And this again, for me, was a game changer. I can deselect product container. I can select it. I can deselect it, take it out of my workflow. If I decide I might be 25 tools down the road and realize, oh my goodness, I needed the product container, all is not lost. I would just come back to this select tool, just select it again, and it will push that data back through. So no worries about you're not deleting your fields, you're not losing your fields. Other things I can do in here, I can see the data types. I've changed the shipping cost and the unit price to floats because again, a string, I can't do math with a string. So I've changed those to floats. Quantity ordered new. I don't love that heading. I'm going to change that to a quantity, QTY, make that an integer. There's my nice converted date fields with the date, proper date type. Fantastic. So I deselected the originals up here. All right. So I'm feeling pretty good. I can do so many different things with this data, right? And again, if I wanted to see it on its way in, this is what it looked like. Right? I had 9,419 rows and I had 14 columns. What do I see on the other side? right? Now I have 12 columns. I mean, I could change the order. Again, one tool. Fix it, forget it. I don't have to do it over and over and over. All right, we need to do some of more magic here to answer some of those questions, right? So I've got a formula tool. Again, formulas are fantastic. I can do so many different things with formulas, but if I'm newer to them, or maybe I just don't know our syntax, is there a lot of help here? You know I'm going to say yes, don't you? Lots of help. So over here on this formula builder, again, I'm going to expand this so I have a little more real estate. I'm making a column called spend. Now what's neat is with my formula builder, I can change an existing column or I can create a new column. In this case, I'm just creating one called spend. Anyone can see what I did with it. It's like, okay, I took the unit price times the quantity, right? I made it a float data type. Perfect, right? I have over here a function library. Look at that. If I decide I want to see, well, what kind of conditional functions do we have? Here they all are, right? If I wanted to see date time functions, here they all are, with lots of help, math functions. And again, if I hover, so again, lots of resources right there at your fingertips, right? So also here are the columns and constants, so I can see what they are. I don't ever pick a syntax with a formula. I pick it out of the function library or I just start typing it. I also don't type any field names. I don't need to mistype them, right? So it makes it very easy. Anyway, so I've created a spend column. Then I took the existing spend column and I rounded it. Now, absolutely, I could have rounded it up here, but you can see you can change an existing column within the formula builder, right? I created a processing time. What's the date time diff between my ship and order date, right? In days. And then one of the things it said at the beginning, and I'm going to show you something else, a lot of scrolling in here, but we do have under view lots of ways to make this look how you'd like it. I have a mini map, right? And when I turn that on, whoops, I did not mean to do that. I can use this to move very quickly. So the mini map's really handy and you can hide it when you don't want it and then bring it back, right? So again, average processing time, difference between the order and ship. If it's ordered and shipped on the same day, assume its processing time is 1, not 0. Excellent. I wanted to make sure I remember that. And then I can just come back down here to my formula tool. And then I can hide the map and I can make things smaller. All of this very easy. Anyway, why am I going into all that? Well, I did want to down here make sure I said, hey, if the processing time equals 0, then 1 day, right? If it's the same day. Otherwise, processing time. Great. Last, I have a product subcategory. I don't like that it has the word and sometimes it has the ampersand. So just replace. So again, formula builder, tons of things I can do. I also get suggestions down here. If I'd looked at this product subcategory, I could even, look at that and you see that little light bulb? You can barely see it under my training mouse. But that's for suggestions. So I can always click on a column, right? And get all kinds of suggestions over here on things I can do. And if I choose any of them over here, it puts the configured tool up on the workflow for me, right? I love suggestions. And you can also just click it off if you don't want it. Back to that profiling. Look at all of this. I'm going to go ahead and expand this again. Oh my gosh, I can just at a glance see really, really helpful things, right? I'm going to drop that again, turn that off. All right, I got to be mindful of time, so I'm going to move a little more quickly here. Here's a summarize tool. I'm answering my questions. How am I doing that? Look below. So again, if you were brand new to this or someone else came to this or had not seen it for 6 months, it's so easy. I touch the tool and I can see, oh, great. They group by customer, counted transaction ID, sum the spend, average the processing time. Wow, I just answered my first 3 questions, right? That was not a lot. Now, you know what's going to happen. Someone's going to come along and say, I have some customer data that I want. You gave them this data and they're like, I have customer data you need to put in here. And it's like, oh, geez. Okay. So no problem. Here's some customer data, right? And I might even look at this customer data and be like, oh, it doesn't have the name. That wouldn't be a problem either. I could bring in another set of customer data because it's that easy. I've got a customer ID on both of these, so I'm just going to join it right here, right? And as soon as I join it on customer ID, now I have all those customer fields tucked in with my transaction data. Joins are powerful, right? We always want to make sure we're paying attention to what the join is doing. So, right, the left join would be, oh my goodness, this is any transactions that didn't have a match in the customer table. Maybe I have some guess. Oh, we have 0. So that's good. What about my right anchor? This is any of the customers that don't have a transaction. Oh, I have 1. Good. Maybe I need to go do some marketing to that customer, right? I'm going to keep moving along. So we've got our data. We have a region field in the data. R1, R3, R4. Of course, you know you're going to give that data to the customer and they're going to say, don't you have the customer's, the region manager's name? It's like, sure, I do. I do. Of course I do. Here it is. And I can basically do, again, like a VLOOKUP, but much simpler. I'm going to do a find replace. And now my region has the manager name instead of the little bit maybe confusing R1, R2, R3. But wait, maybe I think I want to keep that R1, R2, R3. Well, I can do that too. I could just do an append basically with my lookup. And so now I've kept the region and now I also have the manager. All right. Again, so this is a lot, I know, as I'm working my way through it, but as you're watching, you can see, but wait, I can see any step of the way here, what is happening with the data, right? Anyone can know what's happening. If I'm coming back to look at this, I can recreate it. I could say, oh my gosh, every week this data changes, no problem. It's just going to come through and go through the workflow. I don't have to do it again and again and again. So good stuff. Let's get to that filter. Back at the very beginning of this, we had just a certain set of segments of customers. This one I'm very fond of because I have a true and a false anchor. So when I filter my data, we all know when we've done it where we filter data and we say, hey, and we pass it along and say, don't forget that's filtered. We forget, don't we? It's very clear here that I've got a T for what I chose for my filter. Of course, customer segment is these 3 segments, and the false anchor is not those. If I decided at this point I wanted to sort the segments, the spend for the segments that were not true, right? I could do a sort right here. I could just do largest to smallest and notice it popped up the tool on the canvas for me, right? And it's coming off the other filtered data. Again, possibilities. From here, I just sort the spend. Fantastic. I have a sample tool. What am I doing with that? Well, I decide what n is. I'm deciding n is 1. I'm going to grab the first row and I'm going to group on the segment. So now I've answered the question, highest spend per the 3 segments they wanted. And I have the manager name over here if I want it, right? Wow. Hopefully you can see through all of that. And again, I know it was a lot, but it was very easy to follow, right? And there was drag and drop capability. I can see the data the entire way along, everything else. And wow, and I did set my timer. I am right at almost at 25 minutes. So I am going to stop there and pause. You're supposed to give a little more time for questions, but yeah, gonna stop there.
Thank you, Jennifer. I really appreciate your time and the presentation that you shared. So if anyone have some questions to Jennifer from the audience, please ask right now. Please unmute yourself or use the chat function. So I see a question already from Władysław. Hello.
Thank you, Bart. Hello, Jennifer. A really quick question. So what would you consider as the biggest advantage of Alteryx One when comparing to the regular Alteryx desktop application connected? I mean, if you have access to Alteryx server. Yeah, so Alteryx desktop plus Alteryx server versus Alteryx One?
I might let Christian answer that one, but I will just say it's just amazing to have everything in one place, right? And there are abilities with Alteryx One as well to be hybrid, which is also super helpful. And one thing actually I did neglect to show very quickly, I will be quick. I did not talk about the different modes that you can have with the two. So there is a standard mode right here that talks about full data set, AMP engine, but there's this cloud native mode, which is very, very handy, right? Optimized for cloud data warehouse execution. So it's just with Alteryx One, there's the possibilities of bringing together so many more things, and where the processing is getting done is one of the bigger advantages. And then I will go ahead and let anyone else chime in on that answer.
Yeah, as said, I think it's not the question about the one or the other in my eyes. So Alteryx One is combining also server into the whole mix. So I think the additions, and I will share in my presentation, for example, Auto Insights and a very short introduction also about the plans tool that also is included in one. But as Jennifer told, the really close to cloud data warehouses when you as a company or when your company is leveraging one is really handy and helpful, in special with big data sets. And the addition of also kind of centralized administration, governance, and bringing many things together. I think one is somehow implicitly saying that, helping a lot to streamline and making more out of what you have as a task to solve on.
Thank you all, and maybe I'll also add one more comment over here. I see some questions as well on the chat when it comes to Alteryx One and whether something is available in Alteryx One. So just to summarize, Alteryx One is a concept, a new product that Alteryx is released recently. And Alteryx One is not only cloud. Alteryx One combine as well on-premise and cloud functions together. So by Alteryx One, we mean all products under one portfolio, in one place, including Alteryx Server, which you know, which is familiar to you, which is used very often. Alteryx Designer on-prem is also there as a part of Alteryx One, and more. All things that Jennifer presented, the cloud, is as well in Alteryx One. So Alteryx One is a term, a broader term, just to understand. And answering some questions, are iterative macros available in Alteryx One? Yes, they are available. And they are available as a part of Alteryx Designer on-prem, for example. But you can still use some of the other products within Alteryx One. And Christian, I think this is a really good time to present more about Alteryx One, because Alteryx One is not designer related. There are more things to that. Auto Insights is one of the products which will be a part of Alteryx One. So Christian, I would love to see your presentation.
Thanks, Bart, for switching now gears a little bit, but to dive in and add to that what right now was asked and said. I will present Alteryx One as a platform for businesses and data teams, and will mainly focus on two additional apps, and I will come to that in a second. But first, I would like to take a little glimpse what we as Alteryx telling what one will and is right now. It's a unification of our portfolio. So really bringing that all under one pillar to build more automation, scale, and makes it easier to really select the application that you right now need. Only one or a combination of that to solve your requirements, to gain more insights. And this is, for us, our next era of what Alteryx is at the end. I hope you all can see my screen right now, and I will now proceed to dive you a little in what I am sharing today. So this is right now the current architecture slide of Alteryx 1. And where I will focus on, based on the presentation that you already saw from Jennifer, so you do not need to learn any other data, so will really add to that. But I will focus on this act element here at the slide to see more insights in visual, to build out reports, for example. That is portion of one. I will also introduce you in regards of this act pillar here, how we incorporate Gen AI to that portion to help you easy and fast forward your reporting and your presentation scenarios. And then I will also come to this automation and orchestration at the very end of my presentation to give you more or less the glue that brings one together to build out end-to-end analytics processes with different applications and tools that help you streamline your day-to-day work in regards of consumption for your folks outside or even you and your teams. So that's what I would like to do. And at very first, I am giving you now an kind of state where we are. So we saw now Jennifer's great presentation of Designer Cloud that you see here at the left portion of the slide. And as Bart told, it's not only Designer Cloud, you can also leverage Designer itself. So that's something that also one brings under one pillar you can use what you are used to or what it makes most sense in regards of the data request, the data requirement that you have on your table. So we already saw this transformation and joining, and then I now go to the right portion of this slide, showing you Auto Insights with this nicely prepared data from Jennifer. I will give you a little glimpse what I at the end use as a data set out of this workflow. And then at the very top of this slide, at the very end, I will show you how we bring this together and automate it end to end. To dive you in the topic, what is Auto Insights? And after that slide, I'm jumping directly to the live presentation. Auto Insights is a virtual data expert. That means this app is a kind of neighbor of you and waiting about the question that you raise against the data that you bring to them. And Auto Insights is really you putting data to them, and he is really working on that in the background. And when you then ask, you receive an answer, and that I will show you. And we will see a lot of these three topics that are on that slide about how root causes are described, how the storytelling is implemented directly in the interface of Auto Insights, and how data discovery and researching is meant in that environment. So now you should see the Alteryx 1 platform landing page. I am, as Jennifer, logged in, and I hope not that this logging in will appear as in Jennifer's presentation, crossing fingers for that. And we see here our Alteryx 1 apps, and I dive now into the Designer Cloud one and showing you, as Jennifer did, what I did with her workflow and what kind of data package I have already pulled and linked to Auto Insights user experience. So this is a workflow that we saw, and I added a little bit of scenario to it to have Auto Insights showing his magic. And you see that's most likely the same beside this little branch that I directly after building out these features of spend and processing time I'm doing. And then I do more or less only enrichment. So enriching with customer data and then replacing the regional head names with the regional codes. That's ending up in a output data set, and I'm not overriding Jennifer's. And then this is already linked to Auto Insights. So that means that is done, and I would only show you that for the matter why I did it, because when I click on this output anchor here at the very end and we are taking a look at the data itself, Auto Insights is really happy about a lot of features. So as more so-called segments that we add to Auto Insights, as more he can think of what could be important for someone inciting this data. So taking a look at it and diving into it, and will find out more about the reasons why things happen as they happen. So, and this is really the element why I leave this data as wide as possible, and also enriched it as Jennifer did with this customer data and the regional heads. So now we are really going into Auto Insights through the burger menu here at the top left-hand side and executing it. So it's now loading our Auto Insights application. There are several ways to really came to that point in the process. And what I also did beforehand, as I said, I linked it in this data layer of Auto Insights, where Auto Insights already worked on the data. So we see here the data set that I'm populating, and it's based on Alteryx 1, and it's really linked here. And normally at the first time you see here a little element analyzing data, and this is already done. Then when we go to the main landing element of Auto Insights is about these missions. And missions are what we would like now to dive a little into it. First, there are so-called mission templates. You can create your own ones, but these three are pre-populated. And then we see this Playbooks one. We will come later back to that. I already prepared one mission to give you a little first insight, and then we will create a second one on our own directly here from the data itself. So now I'm clicking on this mission, and we see I also used Jennifer's questions against the data to showcase a little bit about how the data are visualized here in Auto Insights. And sorry for that, I need to one time refresh this page. Why ever it's a little bit slow today. Potentially it's related to my internet connection, but yeah, I had this one time today in addition. But yeah, now we are working. So you see, we are at this so-called mission summary here at the very top. And this mission summary is telling us an overview about all these little rectangles, and you can add, and we see it also later on, additions to that. So we can scroll down, and as you see, all this storytelling already hitting here about the data and how the data is on it. We will now dive, for example, in the second question. I named it here, what is the total spend for each customer? And I click on it, I'm really navigating to that page, seeing information in textual wise about the data itself. And for example, here I have also the customer IDs and the size and the total percentage to my spend by this customer. I can do this when I, for example, edit this mission and have this query bar here at the top. I use the spend message and then break it down by customer ID and use the all data that I have in my data set. And so I can really use that information to answer this question and visualize it directly here in Auto Insights. When I scroll down, and especially when I selected all data, I'm getting kind of additional analytics that I can use to dive more into it. For example, this 80-20 principle here, I have here the head, so the upper portion, and then I get also this textualized information to say, okay, 62% of spend are from 9.25% of my customer IDs. And I do not have configured any of that. So I simply said spend breakdown time, and it's automatically in the background and surfacing instantly to me that kind of metrics, that kind of and then, so to say, selecting that portion and going now deeper on that, and would like to find out more about why, what about these 250 customers that I have in my upper portion. And then I have also additional breakdowns that are automatically created here. And when I would like to know more about my number one driver here at this, I can see corporate and customer segments. And now I can also simply say, okay, I would like to add this as a filter to my query bar. And now I'm diving even deeper into the data, finding out more whys this happen and what causes this. And this is really how Auto Insights is shining at the end and helping a lot why data are as they are progressing. Now I'm entered beside the missions, this search element at the top bar. So that's now this discovery phase that I spoke in the slide about. And when I would like to see even more about why this data is as it is, I can really drill down on elements that the Auto Insights environment showcasing me more and more. Like when I would like to have more regional, so more manager awareness, which one is really driving that segment of corporate, then I can simply say break down it here, or I can also drill down with this button, adding it to the breakdown and seeing that Lisa Chen is really in that corporate customer segment, helping a lot the company overall my data out and bringing a lot of value in. And you see in my search section, I'm building out a little row, so I can also jump back if I want and turning another other direction if I want. And when I, for example, I am right now good with it, but I would like to see it even often, or even every time I open the mission, I can say add page to mission, select the mission that I would like to add this page to, and for the next time, I have it in my mission and will see it every time in special with this breakdown and this filtering. So for example, here at the very bottom, I now have this added to that element. So that's now stored and saved to that mission. For the first introduction, I will end here with a kind of little Gen AI feature, because I think that's worth showing. You see here this magic documents element, and I will click right now on it. So magic documents is a Gen AI feature that helps us creating out of this mission a nicely presentation, and that we will do in a second. An email textualized with all these insights that I have in my mission in, or a message. You can type your audience in, but I think head of sales makes a lot of sense right now. And we will stay with English, but all these languages are really, while Gen AI is behind, helping a ton to get exactly that message in the right language, the right audience, while you're working with that. And you can create a lot of presentations with a lot of folks. But for now, we create it in English, that you see it live. And now the system is communicating with generative AI, a large language model at the end, and bringing up this mission insights into a nice PowerPoint presentation. And you can download this presentation as a PPTX. And it's not only images, you have really text on that where you can manipulate and fine tune as needed. You can add slides, delete slides, add text, whatever, and bring your own CI to it. And this is also a feature request that's still in production, not in production, still in our product team, that you can pre-upload your theme and your color schema and your leading slides to that, to have it right here with the right setup going. So that's the first thing that I would like to share with you as the first introduction to Auto Insights missions. Is there a question? If not, please mute yourself. Thank you. Okay, so for the first, and please interrupt when there are questions out. I try to answer them right away. I need to take a little bit cautious of time, but I think I'm on it. So what we are now doing is really we are creating our new mission, a new mission based on the KPI deep dive report here, and we are more interested about spend. So I have already selected the data set, and then I can select a so-called measure. And these measures are also pre-populated by Auto Insights, and you can configure a little if you want, but normally it's ready to go. I'm selecting spend, creating a mission, and we see instantly based on this template that Auto Insights is creating our mission based on this measurement. I have a few rectangles here left-hand side, and we can then now, because I'm in the editing mode, right, fine-tune if needed. So for example, we would like to have a proper naming, I think, of our little mission. So let's see if we can make this a little bit more sense-verse. So we tell it, okay, that's now customer spend insights. So you see, it's fairly simple to go ahead and change it. For example, also here, it's spend is a little misleading, but actually it's customer spend. You can also add some kind of description to it if you want. But what I find really helpful, to be really honest, that we do not compare December 23 to November 23. I'm really more interested in the quarterly view. So that means I can simply click here saying, okay, let's do it on a quarterly base. Apply. Okay, let's see what's doing. Nice. Okay, we have now quarterly orientated view. The textualization is now switching instantly to quarterly. And then now I'm comparing quarter to quarter 3, but potentially it's more relevant to see a year-over-year environment. So clicking on the versus, saying I would like to compare to the same quarter with an offset of 1 year. Okay, that's potentially looking great now. So we see also the visualization is instantly changing to my configuration, and also all the other rectangles left-hand side can be configured as needed if they need to have different views, angles. So you can really fine-tune as needed and bring things to a level that makes most sense for you. And as you see, because we now have a completely new mission, it's now time series orientated. And this was the very, very, very first intent of Auto Insights, to have a time series comparison. The first mission that I showed you was with this data overall. Right now, we have more mission orientated and time series orientated comparison. And so we also see a new section. It's called What Causes This? And this is always related to the time that I'm comparing to the other time frame in the configuration that I have done right now. In regards of that, we have, for example, different kinds on portions, and for example, it can also change which kind of quarter we see. For example, I would like to see the last, not the last quarter, offset of 1 quarter. So that then helps us a little to understand what's the quarter before. And so we see also different what causes this. So based on that, it's driving us the most relevant information to the surface, so the most driver why this changed. And as last time, I can also now dive into that scenarios dynamically and break down, for example, at product categories to show something different, and also the visualization showing me what kind of category in that regard furniture is helping out a ton to give us more and more insights into what we would like to see. So I think you get a really first good impression what and how deep you can dive into it. There's a lot more possible. What I would like to end here at this mission is how you can get to that data. You do not need to go to the environment each and every time. Here at the mission overall, so I jumped back with a breadcrumb to the very main page. I can send it ad hoc via email to audience, but the most common one is really scheduling things, adding a schedule, for example, to a whatever monthly frequency, can set up it as needed. But the cool thing is you also can select recipients, and they receive a first highlight summary via email with hyperlinks in it. So when you are interested in even going deeper, you can simply click there, landing here at Auto Insights, and diving in as needed to make sense out of what the data is telling. So that's the second mission I showed and would show. And now we are going back a little bit to generative AI in Auto Insights with this little reporting function at the top. So reporting is different because it's more really as a report is. So it's not as interactive as it as a mission, but it is helping a ton with generative AI to create it. So I can go to select a data set, telling it, okay, that's my data set that I would like to generate a mission for, but now it's taking a breath and saying, okay, simply doing something makes no sense. I am taking a look at this data set and giving you a first overview of what kind of use cases could be behind this data. So now we are having a generative AI response based on the data or a sample of the data that we're providing, what could be interesting. So you can learn, you can change angles, you can dive even deeper in other segments, or sharing with peers of you when you are head of sales, potentially other head of customer success or so, need also the kind of insights to get more order what is really important in the data and where you need to look into it to at the end be more successful as a company. And as I clicked on load more, you see there is even more that Gen AI can help us out. For example, we will do something with regional sales performance. No, we already saw that, right? Let's do enhanced customer segmentation strategy. Clicking here, saying, okay, I would like to have a monthly report of that. And we have an abstract, we have some kind of benefits that this report will tell us. And now he is creating really the proper report about this use case. And we can open it up directly here in the interface and let us go through that in short. So in a second, breathing, Christian, is helping a lot. Is telling us what about this use case is going for insights to us. So we see here enhanced customer segmentation as a overview, as a headline. We see a little bit of that's a generative AI initiated report. We see that's more formatted like a PDF, and yes, you can download it as a PDF, but there's, as you also see, a scheduling function. Will come later to that thing. And as it is with missions, we have this textualization seated with some kind of visuals that help us out in regards of the use case that we would like to see and that we have selected. So to show you a little bit about how you can now influence that report, I will hit the edit button here, top right-hand side. And we would like to create right now a kind of executive summary. I'm really having here what you see is what you get editor, so I can really click into it and type some comments, or I can use this handy right-hand sidebar. And I will do this executive summary, but for power users, we also introduced here kind of slash-orientated navigation. So going to executive summary. And then this right-hand bar is changing a little, and I already prepared a little, a little optional summarization instruction. So what I do is a short 15 seconds to read an accurate C-level summary, hit generate preview, and again, Gen AI is helping us out, analyzing the report and saying, hey, that's the thing. And then I click inside and I see now my executive summary directly here in line of the document. We will have to, for example, a headline, right? Executive summary. Then I can use this handy bar, make it a little bit medium and bold. Then we should have also more information about the high level number. A KPI tile makes sense, I think. what kind of data? Yeah, my data, please. Then we would like to see the spend for it. And because we do it monthly, we should arrange that to a monthly scenario. It's the one monthly scenario. We can, yeah, hit the measure again, manipulate if want. We can do date ranges. So that's really configurable as needed. And now I remember some kind of thing potentially we should keep in mind, that we need to have some optical divider here. And let's see what we need. We have a Danish sea level. Potentially we should have a Danish translation for the sea level. So Danish translation, and then I say this text here, please translate it to Danish. So you see, it's fairly easy to bring in your data, and the system helps you a ton to get what you need in seconds to populate it to the audience that you would like to populate to. And so we have manipulated it. We can do a lot of other things, and then we should schedule it to the timing and also the email settings. And we can attach the PDF directly with the scheduling. So the managers that are interested, or the C-level suite are interested in that, having it right by hand at time with the most current data from Jennifer's workflow. And then the only thing that's still needed is to glue that all together. And in my last few seconds, I hope I have this, I will show you our orchestration feature called Plans that helps us making it end-to-end automated. For that, I'm going back to my Auto Insights 1 element. Just give me a second. I have this little bar here on top. I hope can here. Okay, going back to my platform, and now I have plans here. I launch it and saying, okay, now I would like to end-to-end the whole thing, automated as needed, not scatter, not clicking several times, doing it all completely automated. I'm creating a new plan. And this plan is not only for cloud, it's also for desktop assets. You can also leverage it for desktop and incorporate it to cloud assets too. But for today, we use Jennifer's workflow. It's all a little slow today, why ever. Glue it together with Auto Insights. No, okay. Cannot load configuration. Now we're going. Okay, so Designer Cloud, here's Jennifer's workflow in my assets. I'm selecting it. Then I have the Auto Insights. I have my Auto Insights layer data set that I would like to update. On a success, it should be doing this thing. So I can schedule the plan. That means based on an event trigger, for example, a new CSV file is arriving at the very beginning of the Designer Cloud workflow. This got be shot and calculated whole through, updating the Auto Insights, and then the Auto Insights can schedule the delivery of the PDF reports that's needed. But right, potentially you need to have a 4 eyes principle. You can add approver steps here if you would like to. You can approve it via, so I am the approver for C-level, I need to be an approver here. But you can also chain it together, have all at once, and you can also inform via Slack or email if I am, for example, on vacation. So when I am not approving for, for that amount of time, then I would like to email someone. So that's all then up to you how you configure at the end your plans approach. But this is then end-to-ending your analytics chain with hybrid approaches like Designer, on-premise, cloud, Auto Insights, and also approvers if needed for high-aimed people. To sum that all up, I think one is helping at every angle of your journey ingested with AI. And thanks for having me here, Bart. I hope that make a lot of sense what I shared. And yeah, happy for getting questions, happy and also calls during the upcoming weeks and months. So feel free, and I'm really into what I presented and what you would like to ask me. I'm open right now, please.
Thank you, Christian. Wow, I really appreciate your presentation. And as we mentioned before, that's all a part of Alteryx One. So if you have already Alteryx Designer Desktop and you are an existing Alteryx user, it is very realistic that very soon you will get the access to Alteryx One and all the functions, almost all the functions, which Christian was sharing when it comes to auto insights, especially. So just wanted to clarify that because I think that there is some misunderstanding of Alteryx One concept in the end. And you can imagine that you can save hundreds of hours because you don't need to create those dashboards in Tableau and Power BI no longer. You can have it in Auto Insight, some part of those. So thank you once again, Christian. If you have any questions, please use chat right now. So we'll try to respond to this. And as I promised at the very beginning, Emil right now will just very quickly present the AI and Alteryx integration in a few minutes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Emil, and I'm a co-founder of DataPal, official Alteryx partner. And today I will talk quickly about how to integrate Alteryx with large language models. So firstly, how to connect with APIs. We need to talk about, how to connect with LLMs. We need to talk about APIs. API stands for Application Program Interface. And this is really interesting topic. It makes people life much easier because it allows data people and programists and other people to communicate between different systems. Let's call it like that. How I like to explain it, API call is like knocking on someone's door, and to be more specific, to a club, a secret club where you need to know some kind of special handshake in order to get in. And the properly configured API call is this special handshake. Step 2 is sending the data to LLM, sending the prompt or sending the data, depending on the use case. And thirdly, receive a response. There are two types of large language models, internal one and external one. Internal is best for all the use cases, to be fully transparent, because it's secure. Internal large language models is governed and set up by your internal data teams, security teams, and this is a way to go. But for some smaller organization, you might need to use the external large language model in order to build proof of concept. Please be aware that you shouldn't send any confidential data. Maybe you can mask some kind of data just to inspire, just to present capabilities, and later, hopefully, you will be able to use internal large language models in the future. To further deep dive into this topic, you need to basically use the Alteryx, use the downloads tool, configure the API call, and then send the data to large language models. Like I have mentioned, we have internal or external ones. And after sending the data, you will get a response from them, and it will show up in the Alteryx. Actually, it can be parsed text, it can be in JSON format, it depends. And now, how to get access to your internal LLM? If you don't know whom you should speak with, the easiest way is to submit an IT ticket or talk with your manager. But if that will not help, search for people that are related to AI or architecture, or maybe access management tape, API teams, things like that will definitely, tips like that definitely will help you along the way. But to get access to large language models, you also need to have some kind of idea how you will use that. So you need to have some kind of use case in mind. And we have on the slide plenty of them. You can use large language models to clean the data, to summarize some kind of documents, or maybe generate additional insights, prepare some kind of data quality checks, maybe content create for LinkedIn, marketing stuff, things like that. But if you are searching basically for the inspiration, during our previous user group, we have discussed 60 AI use cases in 60 minutes. And this is a great way to get inspired. It is a great way to see what are the capabilities of Alteryx and large language models. If you have any questions regarding AI and Alteryx, please feel free to let me know. And for now, have a good day and see you next time.
So thank you, Emil. Once again, big thank you to Jennifer and Christian. It was really good to see you and have you here. Thank you everyone for joining. See you next time. We are planning to have another meeting probably in November. So let's stay connected. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.